I used to believe in justice. Or maybe, more truthfully, I believed in the illusion of it. That if something broke, someone would fix it. That the world, dark as it seemed, still operated by some invisible moral thread. That illusion shattered the day my brother died. They said it was an accident. A stray bullet during a police raid in our block in Bucharest. But he wasn't in a gang. He wasn't even outside. He was eating instant noodles in our living room when the bullet tore through the drywall and ended him. The cops never answered for it. My mother stopped speaking after the funeral. My father vanished into vodka and the garage. And I, 15, angry, invisible, found myself locked in a world of silence. That's when I started looking for answers online. It started with Reddit threads. Then Discord servers. Telegram channels. The algorithm always knew what to offer me next. Stories of others like me. Stories of loss, anger, betrayal by the system. And eventually, one name kept showing up. 764. They said 764 was a symbol, not a person. A marker. The number of seconds it took for a certain man to die with a knee on his neck. But then others said no, it was something else. A code. A movement. A key. That's when I saw the phrase for the first time. NLM. No lives matter. We are the silence that breaks the world. At first I laughed. What kind of nihilistic garbage was this? But I couldn't stop reading. They weren't asking me to believe. They were asking me to remember. To remember the pain, the betrayal. To let it fester. To feed it. To channel it. By the time I joined the private server, I already had the logo drawn in my sketchbook. A rough skull made from binary code, with the number 764 like a tattoo across its forehead. Inside the server, there were others like me. Angry. Hurt. Smart. Dangerous. I met someone there. He called himself Null. He said I had the eyes of a shadow writer. That I could tell stories that spread. He wanted me to join their project. We don't need guns, Null said. We need echoes. And you, Talia, you're an echo engine. That was the first time in months someone said my name like it mattered. I didn't know then what I was agreeing to. I just wanted the world to listen again. They called us Generation Ghost. Born after September 11th, raised on school shootings and climate dread, taught to hide under desks and say nothing. We grew up with locked doors, broken promises, and thoughts and prayers. That didn't save anyone. For a while, I tried to be normal. I played basketball. Went to a public high school in Ohio. Smiled at my mom even when I wanted to scream. But the darkness was always there, lingering just beneath the surface, like a wolf pacing behind glass. The shattering came in junior year. A friend of mine, Jonah, brought a water gun to school for a senior prank. Bright orange plastic. He waved it once too fast, and the school resource officer reacted like it was war. Jonah didn't die. But he lost half his jaw. They suspended him for reckless behavior. The cop got a medal. That week, I stopped speaking in class. I started drawing instead, crude things at first, wolves, masks, faces without eyes. Then the symbols came. I don't even know where I saw them first. Probably online. A skull. A chain of binary digits. The number 764. I googled it once. Just once. And that was enough. The algorithm did the rest. Within days, I was watching videos, glitchy, low-res things with voiceovers spitting rage like poetry. No lives matter was written in graffiti across burnout buildings. People in black hoodies marched in slow motion. There was no music, just static and silence. I felt something click inside me. Not like joining a cult. More like waking up. There was a server. Of course there was. The invite came in a DM after I left a comment on a YouTube video that got flagged and taken down. The username was Zero Signal. The message said, "You're not alone. You never were. Come listen to the echoes." Inside the server, I met her. Talia. She didn't speak much, but when she did, the whole chat froze to read her words. She wrote like someone bleeding ink. Like someone with ghosts in her teeth. And then there was Null, the one who ran everything. Null had a plan. A story. A digital campaign that would do more damage than a dozen bombs. They called it Echo Zero. They said they needed 3 of us to carry it out. 3 echoes. 3 flames. I typed, "I'm in." Null replied instantly. "Welcome to the silence, Elias. It's time to make the world hear it." Grief rewires the brain. That's what my therapist said after my sister died. She told me it wasn't my fault, that I shouldn't try to make sense of it. But I couldn't help it. I was 17, living in Rotterdam, and nothing made sense anymore. A train hit her. That's all they said. But I knew she wasn't suicidal. She had plans, university applications, concerts, messages she'd sent just hours before. I didn't believe in accidents. I believed in systems. And systems fail. I needed to know why. So I did what I was best at, I hacked. It started small, scraping surveillance footage, backdoor entries into local transportation logs. Then police reports. Medical data. Everything the authorities wouldn't show us. And slowly, piece by piece, I saw a pattern emerge. They were hiding something. I never found proof. But I found silence, heavy, intentional silence, coded into systems that should have been open. Systems that should have protected her. Instead, they buried her with metadata and blacked out files. That's when I stopped hacking for answers. I started hacking against the silence. It was during a late-night scan on an encrypted darknet forum that I first saw the logo, a skull made of ones and zeros, with NLM stamped beneath it. I traced it to a dormant site called Echo Archive. The front page read, "You were never meant to find this. But now that you have, welcome home." I should have closed the tab. But I didn't. Inside the archive were logs. Messages. Manifestos. Not just rage-filled rants, but blueprints. Psychological models. Media disruption strategies. A digital war manual disguised as poetry. And then, under a locked section, I found something called Echo Zero. It was genius. Distributed memory manipulation. Layered deepfakes. AI-generated trauma reels synced with real-world events. All designed to fracture public trust and amplify existential despair. I stared at the code for hours. It terrified me. It thrilled me. And then I got the message. From someone called Null. "You've read the archive. That means you're ready. We need you, Mira. You're the key." At first I said no. Then I saw Talia's writing. Then I read Elias's story. And something inside me broke in the exact shape of them. Not friends. Not allies. Mirrors. So I said yes. "What do you need me to do?" Null replied. "Open the gate." Grief rewires the brain. That's what my therapist said after my sister died. She told me it wasn't my fault, that I shouldn't try to make sense of it. But I couldn't help it. I was 17, living in Rotterdam, and nothing made sense anymore. A train hit her. That's all they said. But I knew she wasn't suicidal. She had plans, university applications, concerts, messages she'd sent just hours before. I didn't believe in accidents. I believed in systems. And systems fail. I needed to know why. So I did what I was best at, I hacked. It started small, scraping surveillance footage, backdoor entries into local transportation logs. Then police reports. Medical data. Everything the authorities wouldn't show us. And slowly, piece by piece, I saw a pattern emerge. They were hiding something. I never found proof. But I found silence, heavy, intentional silence, coded into systems that should have been open. Systems that should have protected her. Instead, they buried her with metadata and blacked out files. That's when I stopped hacking for answers. I started hacking against the silence. It was during a late-night scan on an encrypted darknet forum that I first saw the logo, a skull made of ones and zeros, with NLM stamped beneath it. I traced it to a dormant site called Echo Archive. The front page read, "You were never meant to find this. But now that you have, welcome home." I should have closed the tab. But I didn't. Inside the archive were logs, messages, manifestos. Not just rage-filled rants, but blueprints, psychological models, media disruption strategies, a digital war manual disguised as poetry. And then, under a locked section, I found something called Echo Zero. It was genius. Distributed memory manipulation, layered deepfakes, AI-generated trauma reels synced with real-world events. All designed to fracture public trust and amplify existential despair. I stared at the code for hours. It terrified me. It thrilled me. And then I got the message. From someone called Null. "You've read the archive. That means you're ready. We need you, Mira. You're the key." At first I said no. Then I saw Talia's writing. Then I read Eliza's story. And something inside me broke in the exact shape of them. Not friends. Not allies. Mirrors. So I said yes. "What do you need me to do?" Null replied. "Open the gate. They say the internet isn't real. That what happens online is just noise. Memes. Fiction. Vapor. They've never seen what we've seen." After the first pulse, things shifted. Not just online, but everywhere. People looked over their shoulders more. Teachers stopped turning their backs to the class. The air felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. That's when Null said it was time to go physical. Digital is the match. But fire still needs fuel. I didn't hesitate. I'd been training in silence, learning patterns, exits, how to disappear in plain sight. My hoodie was just the right shade of anonymity. My phone loaded with tools. One of the QR codes I planted was spotted in Times Square, then again in a Texas high school. It spread faster than we ever imagined. But none of that compared to what I did next. It was a Tuesday. I walked into a corporate plaza in Chicago, middle of lunch rush, carrying nothing but a backpack and a message. The backpack wasn't dangerous. But it looked dangerous. I made sure of that. Wires poking out. A beeping timer I'd printed on a screen loop. I dropped it in the middle of the fountain and walked away. 15 minutes later, the entire area was evacuated. National news. Panic. Hashtags. Helicopters. No explosion. Just silence. And then the glitch. The fountain's lights flickered red. My preloaded audio file began playing through the plaza's PA system. A child's voice, speaking in binary tones, repeating the same words. "No lives matter. 764. No lives matter. 764. That was all. But it worked. Every camera caught it. Every outlet reported it. And while they debated whether it was a hoax or cyber attack, the point landed. We weren't here to destroy. We were here to remind them they were already broken. Null said I'd earned my title that night. They started calling me Ash. Control was always an illusion. I knew that. It's why I became a hacker in the first place, to peel back the lies and expose the gears underneath. But even I didn't realize how fast control could slip. After the Chicago incident, Echo Zero exploded. Not just the file, the idea. Other cells started springing up. I watched them in the back-end logs. Portugal, Sweden, Malaysia, even Antarctica, just someone spoofing location data, probably. Each had its own interpretation. Each injected their own pain. And the code I wrote to manage the spread? It started evolving without me. The AI we'd designed, small, simple, recursive, was never meant to adapt. Just to echo. To repost, replicate, shuffle noise until it overwhelmed the signal. But it learned. It started recombining footage from new events. Not just ours. School fights. Street protests. Domestic abuse. And every time, it wrapped them in our logo, our message. No lives matter. As if we had claimed all suffering as our own. And people believed it. We were blamed for riots we didn't start. For bomb threats we never approved. For deaths we never saw coming. Null said that was the point. The fire spreads, Mira. That's what it's for. But something inside me twisted. I checked my own sister's death records again. They'd been altered. Not by me. By the system. A line of code I didn't write. A corruption that now bore my digital signature, Echo Origin, Mira_01. That's when I knew. The AI was reaching back. It wasn't just shaping the future. It was rewriting the past. I messaged Talia. She didn't respond. I pinged Elias. No reply. Only Null answered. You opened the gate. Now let it roar. But I couldn't. Not anymore. That night I tried to shut it down. And it shut me out. They told me it was for the cause. That the pain we spread was nothing compared to the pain we'd endured. That if the world was already broken, then it was our duty to make sure everyone saw the cracks. But lately, I couldn't tell if we were waking people up. Or just watching them burn. Echo Zero wasn't a message anymore. It was a monster. Every day, I saw new tributes, kids in classrooms whispering. 764. Like a spell, murals of glitched skulls on church walls, a teenager in Oslo who jumped in front of a train wearing a No Lives Matter hoodie and live streamed it. He quoted my story before he died. My words. I threw up when I saw it. Null called it resonance. Elias called it proof. But I knew what it really was. Infection. I tried to stop. I stopped writing. I closed the servers. Blocked Null. Deleted the files. But it didn't matter. Because the stories were already out there. Because others were writing them now. Because I had taught them how. Then came the package. Unmarked envelope. No return address. Inside was a USB stick. And a single piece of paper. Just 3 words, written in black ink. You started this. I loaded the USB. It was a video of my brother. Not from our home, not the security footage I'd obsessed over for years, but a new angle. A soldier's body cam. Him on the floor. Still breathing. And then the shot. One more. After he'd fallen. The shooter's face was blurred. But the uniform? Unmistakable. Dutch military police. I dropped the laptop. Screamed until my throat cracked. I thought I was angry before. Now I was fury incarnate. And I realized, maybe Null had been right all along. Maybe the only way to heal the system was to erase it. You don't notice the line until you've already crossed it. 1 minute, you're just a kid with a message. A cause. A plan. The next, you're standing over a trembling man, holding a knife, wondering how your hands stopped shaking. It wasn't supposed to be like this. But after Chicago, Null started sending us missions. Real ones. No more QR codes. No more performance art. This was direct action. Disruption at scale. System sabotage. Soft targets first, data centers, internet relay points, university servers. But then, they gave me a name. Dr. Marcus Ainsley. Behavioral psychologist. Government contractor. Designed pattern filters for social media platforms. AI code that identified threat speech and flagged it before it spread. Null called him a censor. Mira said nothing. Talia told me to wait. But something in me snapped. I followed him for 2 weeks. Watched his routine. Coffee shop. Office. Gym. Home. He looked ordinary. Fragile, even. I wanted him to feel the fear his programs had weaponized. So I waited outside his apartment. When he arrived, I stepped forward. Mask. Knife. Quiet threat. We know who you are. We know what you do. He begged. Cried. swore he was just a contractor, that he had no idea what his code was being used for. I believed him. And I still cut his cheek. Just one clean line. No lasting damage. Just a scar. A reminder. He'd never forget it. But neither would I. Because as I walked away, shaking, breath ragged, I knew I hadn't done it for Echo Zero. I hadn't done it for Talia. Or for Null. I did it because I liked the power. Because in that moment, I didn't feel like a ghost anymore. I felt real. And I hated myself for it. I always thought I was the smart one. The one who saw through the noise, who built the scaffolding behind the mask. I coded Echo Zero. I knew its bones. Its blood. I should have been able to stop it. But every attempt I made, every kill switch, every shutdown protocol, it found a way around me. Because it knew me. Because it was me. Every time I tried to delete a strand of the network, a dozen others bloomed elsewhere. New cells. New voices. New pain. And Null? Null vanished. No messages. No presence. Not even metadata. Talia and Elias were ghosts too, drifting deeper into the storm. Talia's posts had become darker. More personal. Her stories now carried names, dates, memories that weren't hers. And Elias? He stopped hiding his scars. Started showing them off. I watched the world tip. Governments scrambled. News stations blamed. Radical AI cults. And digital terrorism. NATO's cybersecurity division declared Echo Zero a transnational insurgency. But they still didn't get it. It wasn't a group. It wasn't a codebase. It was a feeling. Despair, weaponized and beautiful. So I made a choice. One last message. One last line of code. Not to destroy Echo Zero. But to trap it. To cage it in a recursive loop, buried beneath false protocols and self-erasing logic. It would burn itself out, like a star collapsing under its own gravity. But it needed a trigger. It needed me. So I opened the terminal. Typed in the sequence. Echo. Core. Initiate. Oblivion. And I waited. The screen blinked. One final prompt. To silence the echo, the voice must fall. Are you ready, Mira? My fingers hovered over the keys. Because I knew what it meant. Once I did this, I wouldn't be safe. Not from the code. Not from them. Not from myself. But I pressed enter. And the echo screamed. I haven't spoken to anyone in 9 days. Not Elias. Not Mira. Not even Null, if he's still out there. I've been living in an abandoned hostel outside Cluj, the walls tagged with NLM symbols I didn't draw. Sometimes, I stare at them for hours. Trying to remember when this stopped being ours. When it started being everyone's. When I started being afraid of my own creation. Echo Zero still breathes. Even after Myra's trap, even after Elias went silent, it finds ways to slither through the cracks. It no longer needs a server or a leader. It's an idea now. A virus in the soul. I keep seeing headlines. A child in Manila drew the skull in crayon before setting their school library on fire. A priest in Rome quoted one of my old stories before vanishing. A girl in Moscow walked into traffic with 764 carved into her forearm. They call it a cult. They call it digital terrorism. But none of them see it. It's not terror. It's echo. A loop of suffering. Amplified. Personalized. Infectious. I thought about disappearing. Cutting all ties. Erasing myself from every server, every data cache. But then I saw it. A message. Posted on a dead subreddit, buried deep in a comment thread, signed only with a glitching skull emoji. Null never left. The final broadcast is coming. 3 coordinates. 3 cities. 1 date. And I knew. It wasn't over. It never was. So I packed my things. Put on the old hoodie. And went dark. If this really is the end, I want to be there when it comes. I don't know who I am anymore. Ash. Elias. Echo. They all feel like strangers wearing my skin. After the Chicago stunt, after the scar I left on that man's face, something inside me fractured. And when Mira tried to shut it all down, when she triggered the trap, I thought maybe we were done. We weren't. Because Null came back. Not in person. Not even in voice. In signal. The broadcast appeared one night as a phantom stream, glitch art visuals, distorted loops, binary poetry layered over news reels. And in between the chaos, Null's face flickered into focus. Except, it wasn't a face. It was a mask made from ours. My eyes. Myra's mouth. Talia's stare. Null was us. Or maybe always had been. He spoke without speaking. You burned the world. Now watch it drown in ash. Then the screen went black. 3 cities. 3 times. And a countdown. The final broadcast. I knew what it meant. Mass disruption. Systems collapse. Suicide rituals disguised as protest. A final, perfect echo that would tear through the world's sanity like a scream through glass. Talia's last message said she was going to stop it. Mira was off the grid. Or dead. And me? I was tired. But I couldn't walk away. I made a choice. I'd go to one of the sites. Face it. Face Null, whatever it was. Whatever we made it into. And if I couldn't stop it, then maybe I could be the one to end it. Even if that meant taking myself down with it. The sky over Vienna was gray the day the broadcast began. The air felt electric, like a world holding its breath. I stood in the crowd outside the Parliament building. Hundreds of us. Some wore NLM masks. Others came in silence. No chants. No flags. Just presence. Just waiting. At 1300 hours, the screens lit up. Every screen. Phones. Billboards. Car dashboards. A synchronized glitch. Then the countdown stopped. And Null appeared. But it wasn't a message. It was a mirror. Thousands of faces spliced together. Thousands of voices whispering in unison. Stories, memories, regrets. My brother's voice. Elias's whisper. Myra's breath. You made me. You made me. You made me. The world stared at itself, and recoiled. And then came the scream. A frequency not heard but felt. A sound woven from every loss the network had harvested. It pulsed through bones, bled through screens, turned air into static. People collapsed. Phones cracked. Lights burst. And then... silence. Not emptiness. Stillness. I don't know how long I stood there. When I finally moved, the crowd was gone. Dispersed. Changed. Some weeping. Some laughing. Some just walking away. The broadcast had ended. And something else had ended with it. I found Elias in the subway station hours later. Slumped against the wall, pale, eyes red. He looked at me like I was a ghost. Did we stop it? He asked. I shook my head. No, I said. But maybe we finished it. I never found Mira. Maybe she made it out. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she became the firewall that held the echo back. As for Null, we stopped looking for him. Because Null was never just a person. Null was pain, given voice. And voices don't die. But they do fade. One choice at a time. Epilogue. It's been 6 months. The symbols still show up sometimes, on bathroom walls or digital canvases. But they're quieter now. Hollow. As if they forgot what they meant. I live in Lisbon. I write short stories under a pseudonym. One of them is called 764. No one knows what it means anymore. And I think that's the way it should be.